Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am here with Justin. I'm Kimmy, the host of the Deschutes current podcast, and we're here to discuss your work with the Amphitheater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name's Justin Alvarado, and I am the sustainability manager at Hayden Amphitheater, and then in the off season at the Old Mill District as well.
And what's your title with the Old Mill District?
Same thing, sustainability manager. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I know that they blend, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
How you fit with the Old Mill.
Yeah. I was hired on as like a sustainability intern in 2023, focused at the amphitheater, and then that it basically built on. So in last November in 2024, was hired on with the Old Mill.
Awesome.
And slowly but surely creating a program there as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The Old Mill is a great place.
Yeah, they're
to work and to just visit.
Because they're both basically owned under the same partnership.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of overlap, with the employees in terms of the management. So like the marketing is the same team. F&B is similar as well. We all work pretty closely.
Yeah.
Together. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of cool that they kind of let you be able to do both. Yeah, I'm sure off season is a little slower for you guys.
Yeah.
What kind of projects do you pick up now that? I mean, I guess you're ramping up for the season, but what have you been doing? I guess.
Yeah. So there's about 60 tenants in the Old Mill. Restaurants, obviously, retail. There's some art galleries, and then fitness studios. And so, similar to the amphitheater, right now we're trying to build kind of a waste management program. And so working with tenants and trying to get their, recycling, composting standardized, I guess. And then from there, kind of expanding the program.
That's awesome.
So yeah, working this past year, we built a soft film plastic recycling with the retail shops, and there's a few other tenants that participate. But every merchandise item in the retail shops come in a plastic bag that was previously going to the landfill, and now we're recycling that with our waste hauler.
Okay, so you guys capture all this plastic, and then where is it going?
Yeah,
because we don't have that kind of recycling here in Bend, right?
Correct. So pretty much all the recycling material that you use or that you dispose of at your curbside, so residential, it's all pretty much, I don't want it packaged or basically put into a big truck and then hauled to Portland.
Okay.
And so it's all getting sorted there, and then going to the secondary market. And that's the same with our soft film recycling. We basically, our waste hauler brings it to their larger facility in the Portland metro area, and it's sorted there.
Okay.
So
it's not too far. But
but yeah, we Central Oregon just doesn't have that infrastructure to recycle as many materials, and then there's no facility here for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many places at all, so that's awesome that we actually have that outlet. Pretty close by.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know that.
So. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Back to amphitheater kind of focus. There's been a lot of buzz about your guys' waste diversion. I saw 93.5%.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So when I joined the program in 2023, we had a 78 or 7. The previous summer we had a 76% diversion, and then in 2023 we had a 78% diversion. And each year we've basically grown that diversion. So in 2024 we had an 87, and then this past year we had a 93.5%. And I think that is just kind of, the success of the program has been working with pretty much all the different vendors and the waste hauler as well, to basically eliminate products in the venue that would be landfilled and exchanging them out for other products that can be disposed of, either recyclables or composting that material. And it's a slow process, right? Each year you kind of see what you're throwing away, and then the next year you kind of work with like the F&B team, and just try to basically change out existing product for product to have a second life. And so I would say that big jump from 2024 to 2025 to allow us to be zero waste was switching out all of our, products that were considered compostable, but on a commercial composting level, to
which
products.
We don't have here.
Yeah, exactly. So the not landfill, does not have the capabilities of what like a Seattle or Portland composting facility would have. So we worked with the local, the not landfill, and their composting facility to get products that would break down in time for their composting system. And so that was really the biggest jump, is like working with them and deciding what materials they would be willing to accept that would essentially break down with all the other food waste and yard debris that their facility gets.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they have just like a standard list for you, or was this like a real project that you guys had to work on?
So basically we, they, for the longest time, they were, not accepting any products. And we worked with them, on sending them different items. And they actually did some tests for us to see, if products would break down in time. And I think kind of the few bigger items, that we worked with them on were like palm leaf ware. So basically palm leaf that are compressed. So it's plant material, but it's heated and then compressed into a plate shape, essentially, or a bowl. And then wooden and bamboo forks and utensils. So a lot of this material is already plant-based ware that's just then, broken down with the other yard debris and food waste that's collected throughout Deschutes County. And so, we worked with them for, the off season, gave them samples, and luckily it was successful with their facility.
I'd be so interested to see that test, because it has to be like some sort of acceleration to see it decompose.
Well, because it was existing plant material, it broke down similar to what, other products they were already receiving. Versus like, a like compostable cup that you see, or the almost kind of like plastic type of compostable cutlery and serviceware, because that needs external heat to break down in time. And so we don't have that type of facility. And so, basically sourcing material that's already basically plant material as serviceware.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have that set as a standard for all your vendors.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's necessary. I don't think you could do that without. How do they react? How do they feel? Because it definitely comes with a price upcharge, and then it's reflective to the customer as well. So
exactly.
How have you seen that kind of go over?
Yeah. So each year, I'll just kind of give you a rundown of what that process looks like. Each year, the F&B team sends out a application that any food truck can apply for, and that's about I don't know on average how many we get, but during the summer we have about 9 food trucks in the venue. Mm-hmm. But before that, before they're approved and everything, we have a food vendor contract that we go through with them.
Yeah.
And so in that contract, it says, we take this really seriously. We pride ourselves on it. And so as a food vendor, you're basically going to abide by, the standards that we hold the venue to. Because even though you're, a third party vendor, essentially, mm-hmm. you're buying into, the ecosystem, the culture that we have at the venue. And so we give them then the list of the materials that we worked with the landfill with and the composting facility. And we say, these are the products that you can serve with. And, unfortunately, there was one vendor that was not using the right serviceware.
Yeah.
And we asked them multiple times, across a few different concerts, we understand you ran out, but you need to be prepared for that, especially if they're sold out shows. And so we had to ask them to leave because they weren't upholding the standards that they agreed to during the contract.
Yeah.
And so it really is a buy-in from all of the different vendors that we have of, these are our standards, and we really take pride in this because it does allow us to get to where we are, mm-hmm. with that 93.5%. And so, that's kind of the process of having applicants and then them really buying into the program as well. And even going above and beyond, last year we had Bonta as a vendor, and their food truck was actually solar powered.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And Life and Time is organic based product as well. And so, we really look into that as, these are what we hold, these are the standards that we hold, but mm-hmm. we are more than we want you to also take pride in it as well. And so those are 2 vendors that, they didn't just use the serviceware that we wanted them to, but they took the extra.
Went above and
beyond. Exactly. And so, I feel like that's a really cool opportunity for them to, showcase that they care about sustainability as well.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you think that, besides these 2, do you think it kind of rubs off on the other vendors to maybe even take that further step and continue?
Yeah. I think it the food vendors compost as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think, if it's not already in their ethos and how they operate as a business, I think coming to the venue and seeing the things that we have done, just kind of plants a seed in their head of, this is what you could do as a business practice moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
that they might not have thought about, or thought that it took, more energy, when it actually kind of works well with the flow of the food truck.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they didn't think about it, or I think basically just gives them an opportunity to see a different way of how their food truck can work beyond the amphitheater and into other spaces.
Yeah, on a more sustainable level.
Exactly.
Very cool.
So yeah.
I have heard of this new system that's being kind of launched by the Environmental Center
Mm-hmm.
with their reusables. Are
Yeah.
you guys working together on that?
Yeah. So Kavi, who's kind of the head of that program at the Environmental Center, we've worked with him, and as well as Jackie, who is the community outreach person from the Deschutes County,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like solid waste management. So there's been a group of us that have, come together, and we've all basically given our input, shared ideas, and uh, and we've looked, like, I went and toured some facilities in Seattle. Kavi and Jackie have toured facilities in Portland. So basically, we've been all trying to, Kavi is I would say, the head leader in this project,
Mm-hmm.
but we've all taken, parts and bits and pieces that we all have learned along the way, of how can we bring this to Central Oregon.
Yeah.
And I think our stance on it right now is that we want to, and we think it's kind of the next steps in events and sustainability. But I think there's some leaps and hurdles that we haven't been able to solve for
sure,
that have kind of limited us in making that decision to fully commit right now.
What are those hurdles, if you can speak on
them? So I think the biggest one is a community center, like wash hub. So a lot of, in Portland and in Seattle, there's a wash hub for these reusables.
Mm-hmm.
And in Central Oregon, it's like, kind of, where would this wash hub be located? And who's running it? And so those are kind of the two big ones that don't have a full solve yet.
Mm-hmm.
That we're kind of just waiting to see what comes about from their program, and basically grant funding for it.
Okay.
Because I think one of the companies that we talked to in Portland, they were like, well, we could wash the stuff in Portland and then bring it back. And it's like,
seems excessive.
Exactly. And you're kind of, even though reusable are great, you're still creating the emissions to drive over the pass.
Mm-hmm.
To get these items washed.
Right.
So we're really, and I think Kavi's really trying to work to get a wash hub here in Bend, so it can be open to all different businesses,
Mm-hmm.
of size, right? Whether it's the Pod Ski or the Tower Theater, which are smaller venues, or it's the Amphitheater, which hosts like 8,000, up to 8,000 patrons. So
at a time?
Yeah.
That's your guys'
That's our capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really just getting, once that foundation is there, I think it's something that we're really interested in looking at.
So you're just kind of dipping your toes right
now.
Okay.
Yeah. And just seeing, how it comes about, and if that's something we want to partake in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sounds really exciting. I will be interviewing Kavi here coming up.
Yeah.
I did take your survey for the program, so I was really interested to see if you guys were going to be implementing it. And it sounds like you guys have a pretty solid plan. That's awesome.
And I think, Kavi and I have worked really closely on it as well. So it's kind of allowing him to, you know, take his program in that direction, and then seeing, you know, how that fits with the amphitheater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're really growing now too. So
Yeah.
that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like so many other event organizers and festivals are going the reusable route as well.
Mhm.
I know like in Europe, like it's just a part of their culture. And
Just
so
natural.
exactly. And so how do we, not only the US, but Central Oregon, create that cultural shift to make it a, you know, standard here,
Mhm.
right? Like we've created a standard at the venue. How does that kind of disperse out into the community?
Yeah, that's kind of my next question. With such a high percent of diversion, are you guys now like the people to look to in for examples, or are we still looking to Europe? Like, what else is out there in terms of improving?
Yeah. So I mean, I think, you know, we've hit zero waste, which is like been the goal since went into the program, and so that's like huge, and I think we're really proud of that.
You should be.
Yeah, but like I went to Seattle this past fall, you know, even after we did get to that diversion rate, to go tour other event organizers. So I went to like Climate Pledge Arena and the Seattle Seahawks Stadium
Okay.
to basically gain insight on like, even though we did get to this, how can we improve and what can we do better
Mm-hmm.
as a venue. And so, you know, I think there has been a lot of other venues reach out to me and our venue to see, you know, how they can improve. But I think I'm still reaching out to other venues as well to
Definitely, there's always room to improve.
exactly to gain insights and you know, whether it's operational, whether it's reusables, you know, to see what other venues are doing. But I have had a lot of other people reach out to see what we're doing as well.
Are these venues like the same size? Are they smaller? Are they
Yeah, they're all different
just
sizes.
everywhere?
Yeah. So like some other Live Nation, um, venues have reached out, but then, you know, like think of kind of like a Munchin Music
Mm-hmm.
type of scene. Two people in Fairfax, California, came to the venue, and they then reached out. And someone from like the University of Colorado Boulder came to the venue and reached out too. So I think because Ben is so popular and a tourist attraction,
Yeah.
I think, you know, them being able to not only experience the venue, but also then see like our three waste stream system with someone at the station helping them sort. I think that also, you know, shows these other people in organizers of like, how can they take best practices at our venue and take them to their venue or their you know, town's weekly music nights and stuff like that.
Have you talked with Munchin Music about their practices?
Not specifically. I think, you know, a lot of the outreach has come from people who want to do that work
Mm-hmm.
and want to improve. So like Mount Bachelor reached out for their Ronde Van event last year, and so I think, you know, for those who want to improve and gain insight, you know, we're a resource for it, but we're not, I would say, actively reaching out to other
Definitely.
venues.
Yeah. Just not trying to gatekeep
Yeah,
the goodies.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're more than happy to, share our lessons learned and help not only people in our community but outside the community, improve their waste management systems as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think is specifically special at our venue that might, I guess, only work at ours versus what works there that could work internationally or
Mm-hmm.
what have you?
Yeah. So I think there's two main kind of points to that. One is, I think, and this is kind of where I guess my social science background comes into play of like human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I think the venue sees roughly like 40% of the visitors outside of Central Oregon. And so, all those people are coming to the venue with a different idea of what's recyclable or what's compostable
Mm-hmm.
from where they are from. And so, for other event organizers, I think looking, whether you're in Central Oregon or outside of it, looking at what your waste hauler accepts, because what works for our venue does not work for a venue in Seattle or in California.
Because you've worked so closely.
Yeah, with our waste hauler.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that's one of the main things is like reaching out to your waste hauler and understanding products that they can receive as recyclable or compostable. And that I think goes for any, community event, large capacity event within Central Oregon or outside of our area. And then the second thing being, at our venue, which I have not seen at any other venue, is we have station attendants at the waste station, helping folks know what is recyclable or compostable.
Yeah.
And so, I think having that is a huge benefit at our venue that most other venues don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it helps with that 40% of people coming from outside the area, visiting the venue, and they have this plate with food waste and a fork, and maybe in their area only the food waste can go into the compost.
Right.
But here we've we've gotten it to the point where all of that can go into the compost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that having the station attendant there to kind of educate the folks who are at the event is a really big, like, a benefit that we have, that it does cost more money, but then on the back end you don't have to sort nearly as much waste,
right?
Because you're kind of doing it on the forefront of when that waste is being disposed.
Because you guys take it further than just the 3 separate. You guys take it back and then continue to separate it, right?
Yeah.
So a little kiddie pool in a
picture.
picture.
Yeah. So basically the process that we have a station attendant and 3 bins that is basically what we call patron facing. So what the patron sees.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have an entire other area that's just outside the venue where we are sorting, the landfill bin that people might accidentally throw something away at that doesn't get sorted by the station attendant.
Mm-hmm.
We also have all the food vendor waste that comes through that area, the bar waste that comes through that area, and then another big one is the back of house. So there's a catering team that is serving for the artists and the tours.
Mm-hmm.
And we try our best to work with them before the season and during the season to sort their waste.
Yeah.
But, you know, things happen, right? And
For sure.
a recyclable goes in the landfill. And so we have the bins out, but then we're basically double checking all the bags and making sure that each piece of trash is going into the correct waste stream. And I would say that's harder when a tour comes in and they're on a bus or there's a trucker that they have limited space in their vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So they just have one bin for everything. So when we get that trash, we're opening the bag up and we're sorting, you know, the glass bottles, the cans, their pizza from the night before, from traveling.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, even though the patron only sees those 2-3 waste streams,
yeah,
you know, there's a whole, you know, other capacity of garbage that comes back into that sorting area that the patron doesn't see and that we don't have the option to kind of pre-sort,
right.
And capture those items before they go into the landfill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little curious on how the artists see it from their side, because I know you guys have been recognized from Jack Johnson and what was the other tour last year?
Mumford and Sons.
Mumford and Sons.
And then the year before that, Dave Matthews,
okay.
as well. And so, yeah, like basically for those tours to recognize us is, you know, I would say it's largely front of house operations with, you know, the back of house, it still plays a factor into it. But again, you know, those tours are traveling constantly. And so they're generating trash that, you know, maybe they stop at a bus stop, but a large amount of that trash that they generate on the road ends up going to where the next tour stop is. And so, you know, we can do as much as we can to put in place these systems in our bars with our food vendors and with the patrons, but we still have, you know, to work with, you know, variables that come into that we don't have control over. But those tours are, I think, you know, they're great because they also can show the venues that this is possible across all their tours. It does cost more money for the tour, but, you know, the impact is massive, right, in the long run. And I think with the Dave Matthews tour, that was in 2024. So we had to change out a lot of our products that we had in the venue just for that show.
Okay.
To basically get us to that 90% diversion rate. And when we saw that, we were like, we can do this all the time now.
Okay.
And not have to only do it for these one-off shows. This can be the standard for you know, the entire season essentially. And so that's kind of the route we took going from 2024 to 2025 is instead of having to change our entire operations and our materials for this one show, we just standardize it for every show that comes through, which is, you know, a big win for the tour and for our venue.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback do you hear from the community? Like, is it positive feedback? Are people upset that they actually have to separate their trash while they're at this concert? Especially, I mean, there's definitely going to be intoxicated people. I mean, like you said, there's people from out of town. They don't know the Bend way. What kind of feedback do you get and have to deal with?
Yeah. I would say it's kind of all over the map. There's people that are like, we absolutely love this, and we're so happy to like, not only see our venue being recognized, but like, there's a lot of people in this town that are like environmentally conscious and see the amount of waste that these massive events produce.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're thrilled to see that how much care and meticulous sorting that we do, to make sure that the event is as sustainable as possible. And then, yeah, like dealing with intoxicated people is a part of the event space, right? So people who don't really care and are just throwing it in whatever bin they see, and so the feedback there, I've gotten comments on people like dropping their can into the can bag and be like, here's your 10 cents or whatever. And so I kind of take that as, oh, they don't see it. They see it as kind of like the economic side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we really see it as like, the environmental side of this can has a second life to it. And so, we really take pride in making sure each can goes back to the OBRC and is, recycled and made into new aluminum material. And then there are people, again, like tourists from outside the area that don't really, I don't want to say understand, but yeah, they're learning in that concert experience of kind of how Central Oregon does all these different things. And so I feel like the feedback is kind of all over the map, on people liking it or, wanting to learn more from it. And I think that, we take a lot of pride in it, but also it's like, we also want to be an example for the event space of like, this can be done, and want to be, set the example for other venues to kind of take best practices and incorporate it into their own event space. So yeah, I think the feedback's kind of all over the map.
Yeah, I can only imagine what comes through.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
What ultimately brought you kind of to this realm in sustainability and event planning?
So I started. I was a student here at OSU, studying social sciences and sustainability, and throughout my, I guess, childhood and high school, I always, it was weird. I always had this like draw toward trash, even though I didn't really know it. Like in high school at lunch, not going to bat on my friends, but they would leave their garbage on the table, and I would just be like, why are we doing this? Like pick up after yourself.
Yeah.
And I would, basically after lunch would be picking up all the trash at the different tables at my high school. And I did it's called the Shane McConkey challenge, or eco challenge.
Okay.
And so that is basically, Shane McConkey was a skier in the Tahoe area, and he passed away skiing, but his wife basically started this eco challenge where it was from like elementary to high schoolers, basically do an environmental challenge. And so there are different projects on like people taking lids from plastic water bottles and making a bench out of them,
Okay.
or you know, um, uh, this I think couple who was in high school in like the Monterey area. They like basically would go into the ocean and I want to say either snorkel and scuba dive and pick up all the golf balls that had been, hit into the Pacific Ocean.
Uh-huh.
And so their project was around basically, uh, taking these golf balls out of the ocean because they would break down and kind of look like, I think it was almost like seaweed, that it would like string, like the inside of the golf ball would decompose.
Okay, yeah.
And so the marine life was basically picking, eating that stuff. And so I did that challenge in high school as well. And I didn't really ever think of, this being a career.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got to OSU Cascades, I was studying social sciences and sustainability. And at one of the job fairs on campus, the Amphitheater was there for marketing internships. And I was like, I don't have social media. I used to have it, but I don't anymore. But I was like, this is a really cool opportunity. And I wasn't really looking, like, that was the booth at the job fair that I was like, that's where I want to work. And so I applied for the marketing internship. But that, they were like, well, you don't have maybe the experience we're looking for, but the sustainability manager is looking for an intern or an assistant. And so it kind of, came to fruition that like I've always had this kind of passion for garbage and sustainability and doing cleanups, like trash cleanups. And it kind of, just this job was like born. And I actually, in the Grateful Dead studies class here at OSU, I wrote a paper on Jack Johnson and his tours and how they're, leading the path and being eco-conscious tours. And that was before I got the job. And so
just kind of all coming together.
It's coming full circle,
Very
really.
serendipitous.
Yeah, of like, having this passion when I was younger, coming here and writing a paper on someone now who's, recognized the venue and coming back again in 2026 for another concert and, now leading this program. It's I don't know. It's I'm super grateful and like to be able to be in this position. But I never did I thought I'm gonna do waste management at a concert venue. I never thought of it that way. It just kind of came to fruition, and I'm so like happy and thankful for that.
Almost like a happy accident.
Yeah, really.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How do you sorry, I lost my
You're good.
thought. How do you find, I guess, more inspiration, or who do you find it from, either locally or wider, broader range? What kind of keeps you inspired and grateful and joyful for this kind of position and what you want to do with it?
Yeah. I think it's both locally and, I guess nationally of, when people reach out and are looking for, advice or ways of running events, I think that is probably one of the main things that inspires me, is being able to help other people, um, you know, basically do what we're doing at the amphitheater. And I think, when Mount Bachelor reached out, or when Winterfest, it's like, being able to help other event organizers be able to do, like, accomplish certain things, and allowing them to, see what we're doing and take it into their own event, and basically continue to create a community around waste management in a way, or event waste management of, we've been able to do it, and so now we want everyone to be able to do it as well. And I think, when I go to different, I love live music, and so when I go to different venues, whether it's in Portland or San Francisco, and going to these other events where I'm like, I have a cup or a can and there's only one bin there. It basically hurts me to be like, if there's another bin around, I will go bring it there. But basically, seeing that there's so much more opportunity for other events in town and in other states in our country to improve on some of these things. And so I think that's really what keeps me going, is like,
There's still more work to do.
Yeah. And how can we make this standardized in our community and throughout the event space of, this is something we as a venue care about, but me personally, of, allowing, these materials to have a second life and not just being disposed of into the landfill. And then working with, the community partners, like when Kavi reached out, it was like, when we first started getting together, I think that just like kickstarted another like thing in me of like, there's more possibility than just waste management. Like, there's a reusable community, and it's like all of us coming together to then basically make something better for the community and for our not only immediate environment, but the environment of our whole world as an ecosystem. Like, it starts small, but it can expand into something greater. Yeah. And so I think, working with people locally, and then people outside of our immediate community, of how can we make this bigger and better, for everyone.
Feed off of each other's energy. And
exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah. And each other's passions too. I think Kavi has a really big passion for this. I have a big passion for the waste. How can we join them into making something, that's greater for the community? Yeah.
Okay. No, I love that. What has been your favorite project along this journey? Or are you working on one?
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily a project, but I think probably working with the people that I work with has been, yeah, it's not really a project, but it just brings me a lot of happiness and joy. So like a lot of the, I would say, a lot of the projects that I've been working with in the off season or in my day to day are with, I don't want to say older people, but people who have been in the industry longer, and longer than I have at least, and being able to work with them has been, I would say, an inspiration and really fun and joyful. But our green team is, I would say, 80% all high schoolers. And so, being able to work with them throughout the summer and creating relationships with them and being able to like get lunch with them or seeing them doing extracurriculars and having relationships not only with people who I work with, day to day, but concert to concert, and I'll, basically allowing them to, they're like a flower and they're kind of just blooming, and being able to see them like, go off to school and either take the lessons learned from the green team or, finding their own passions, and hearing about that is, I would say, one of my favorite projects is just like the
finding your village, your community.
Yeah. And yeah, being able to work with all different kinds of people, I would say is project, but just something that brings me a lot of happiness throughout my time working with all these different people.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I know a few people in the old mill. I know Bo, I know Marty.
Oh yeah.
And they've got great energy. They're always so supportive.
Yeah.
I used to work in the mill, and just them and the support they offer for the businesses there is really impressive. But to see it also in the venue at the amphitheater, I don't know how they do their work.
Yeah.
It's so much work that they do.
Yeah.
And they just always seem very positive. And I think I can see that in you. And I don't know if that's brushing off or if that's you as well. But I think it's very important to have that kind of support. And then working with young people is always kind of inspiring, especially when it's work in conservation or sustainability.
Yeah.
Seeing a light in them, like you were saying, and see where they get to flourish is really exciting.
Yeah. Where did you work in the old mill?
A couple different places. I used to work retail at American Eagle, and then I managed Ben & Jerry's for 7 years.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Did you get to work in the venue?
I did. I pushed Marty real hard to get in there with Ben & Jerry's, and I had a couple seasons under my belt. And Ben & Jerry's tried so hard, or continues to try so hard with their waste reduction and their plastic reduction and all of that. And so we were kind of bringing that in before you guys had those standards.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't an easy thing, especially coming out of COVID with supply chain issues. But I really appreciate seeing just the growth in all of that, and it's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad to see that there's still such energy and appreciation and excitement for all of that in the old mill.
Yeah.
I know that they've tried to do certain things, but it sounds like you're really kind of lighting a fire for them, which is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's every store down there produces something different, and it's like whether it's cups and sticky ice cream or it's retail and plastic, like there's just so it's so broad, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
And it's only growing.
Exactly. So, you know, chipping away little by little, and hopefully, you know, everything improves from there. But it's cool that you guys were kind of on the forefront of reducing the waste, and yeah, I think after like once COVID hit, it kind of changed a lot of
Mm-hmm.
how businesses ran, and you know, with the um, contamination of different illnesses, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like
It was very hard with the single use
yeah,
pieces,
exactly.
but now managed that after COVID, and then
Yeah,
just in such a massive business venue, like
yeah,
it's really cool to see,
yeah,
and on a local level, like I feel special as a Bendite to see
yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of grow here. So
yeah.
yeah,
And you've probably seen, I mean, it sounds like did you grow up here?
I am born and
Yeah.
raised from here. Yeah,
So you've probably seen so much change
yeah,
throughout your time.
yeah. The old mill was a mill
Yeah.
growing up, and yeah, so I got to see kind of this whole evolution, the restoration of the river.
Yeah.
It's very very cool and really inspiring, and I mean we just get such beautiful spaces, and doing this kind of work to continue keeping it that way is
Yeah.
kind of important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely.
But yeah,
That's
and so
awesome.
that's kind of why I wanted to meet with other people in the community and get these conversations to kind of see the behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
get more information, kind of see what's coming up in the community. Um, yeah, I think you guys are doing amazing things, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. It's been interesting to see it year over year, like how
Yeah.
you're talking about all these different changes. Like, okay, I remember seeing this
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
um, uh, how how has this role changed kind of your personal life and your, I guess, waste habits or consumption habits or anything like that?
Yeah. I think, you know, growing up, it was a little instilled in me from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like, you know, Christmas presents, we did, you know, try to not just rip open the present. We'd like, you know, tear it where the tape was, and then we'd reuse the wrapping paper the next year. So I think it's always kind of been instilled in me. But I think, you know, working at the venue and uh, being able to see like, you know, everything, I think the biggest thing I could think of is like everything can be reused in some capacity, especially like construction material.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, I was like, oh, no one's going to want this carpet from our private seating structures at the end of the season. You know, it's just like there's like staples in it. They're not big pieces, or this like visqueen plastic from the stage that they cover instruments with when there's like rain or
Mm-hmm.
weather. And so this year I was like, I'm gonna put it on Marketplace and just see what kind of happens and post it for free. And just like a massive amount of people reached out wanting all this material that I
Interesting.
thought was, you know, not really useful in a
Mm-hmm.
capacity. Um, and so I think that is kind of the biggest thing that, you know, I would say this job has taught me is like, you know, I've always said one man's treasure or one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one kind of hit home to me this summer at the end of the year when it was like, oh, no, this is like so much stuff that, you know, people would think as throwaway is really valuable and can be reused in
Mm-hmm.
that way. So I think that's kind of the biggest I guess, mind shift that I've had is material that, you know, might not be in my eyes, or something that I'm like, oh, that, like, it's a 4x4 piece of carpet, you know, people probably don't want that, but then there's a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
So I think that's been kind of the biggest shift that I've learned throughout the my job there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's always something more.
exactly. So yeah.
Well, I don't have any other questions for you. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the conversation?
I guess I don't want to say like words of wisdom, but just like, you know, for people listening, that, you know, I didn't know what this opportunity was going to bring to me. You know, even just going and talking at a booth at a college fair, and being excited about something, but not necessarily having the skill set. You know, even just going and talking to those people and having an interview for something that, you know, I wasn't really, I guess, suited for, or had the, I guess, resume building for it. It basically opened a different door into something that I would have never have thought was possible. So just, yeah, like going and trying different things, and at a job fair, just talking to the different people, because everyone has their own niche, and you never know where you may find it at a job fair, at talking to someone at a coffee shop. And so, yeah, I think that would be kind of the last bit of just,
yeah, put yourself out
yeah,
there.
exactly. And creating a podcast, you know, with people in the community. I think that, like, when you reached out, I was like, wow, this is such a cool opportunity. And,
Good.
you know, like, you're building something with the skills that you're good at and what you have passion for. And I think that's really cool. So thank you for having me. And
yeah, of course. And thank you for
you know,
joining.
yeah, and continue making podcasts.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. It's just a little project right now, but we'll see
Yeah.
where it goes.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah.